Howdy, Ags. Welcome to the Aggie Central post-game reaction. The Ags beat UMass 20-3, a very lackluster showing. Definitely not what you were probably thinking or hoping for. Am I right? Kind of feels like the weather, how it was treating us all day. You just kind of got out there, sat in that rain, just really didn't feel like you kind of got your money's worth and worth your time there, right? Well, there's definitely some highlights and definitely some lowlights. And I would think we would have been expecting somewhere along the lines of what we talked about in the beginning of the season, playing Sam Houston State, looking at something like 40-3, 55-3. Looking back, the weather, definitely think this was 40-3 type of game is what it should have been. Could it have been 40-3? Yeah, could have been 40-3. All those turnovers. Convert those, easily becomes a 41-3 type of game. So there's that. And I think that probably exemplifies the season, to be quite honest. A game that should have been 41-3 in really bad weather, and in good weather probably should have been somewhere 50-3 and or worse. And we look back and we say, yeah, why all the turnovers? Why? And I'm going to show you some highlights of some guys, some up and comers. For instance, like Donovan Green, great player, really good this game, honestly, but had one major mistake, which was the fumble. And you kind of just get into this thing where a lot of freak things tend to keep happening. I don't know if this was a freak thing, but it's partially an inexperienced thing, a freshman thing. And somebody puts a hat on the ball comes out. Lo and behold, you got a fumble, you got a turnover, and no score. Stops a drive, all that stuff. All that stuff. Everything that's been happening all season long. So, this is a young team. It really is. That is not an excuse for the season, but it is context. And so, definitely want to provide more context as kind of reacting to this game. So, I'm going to show you some things. We're going to do some film review tonight. Look at some plays, some things I thought the coaches did well, and some things that I thought the players did really well. And just kind of give a preview of what this team can be and what, depending on what they want to be. But let me clarify a couple things real quick because, I appreciate the comments and everything that gets in there, especially those that try and, want to get in there and fire back for different things. Bring it. Come on with it. I love it. I like it. You can come at it with anything you want. It's fine because it helps me get better. So that's the way I look at those kinds of things. But I thought it was worth a little clarification. So just kind of clarifying my position on Jimbo for the moment. It's complicated. That's just kind of to put it as easy as I can, most straightforward as I can. It's complicated. I am for his firing and I'm against it all in the same. Okay, the truth is it just requires context. Okay, so let me try and do that as best I can so people can kind of understand a little bit more. Because one sentence saying fire him or keep him just doesn't quite do it. Um, I don't want to go through another coach. I want it to be Jimbo. But we have to recognize there are cues and there are signs that tell us which way we're headed. I think that the sleeve issue with Moose was a sign and a single reason to tell us that we're moving the direction of him having lost the team. Not that he has lost the team. I just think it was a sign that we're moving that direction. Maybe things have been rectified since then. Moose played on Saturday. He didn't have sleeves on. So maybe Jimbo responded. Now, this has been one of the things that I've said that I want to reiterate is that it's key for me how Jimbo reacts and how he responds. Are we going to see more students acting out? Are more of these players going to be doing things that they shouldn't be doing? Maybe. And what do those mean? We just had a player, if you haven't seen the news yet, that has now been arrested. Possession, again, something similar. And that's kind of moving the needle a little bit again, right? But I want to stop short of saying one example means that the entire team has been lost. I don't think it means that. Okay, but it is something that moves the needle. Does it move the needle that way towards losing the team or not? Well, probably towards losing the team, but I'm not saying it puts us like 75% of the way there. Moose's maybe puts us at like 5%. Maybe this notches it up to 10. I don't know. We're somewhere down in the low range, so that's where I think we're at so far. There's going to be a lot more to come we want to see. And I'll tell you some more keys for that for me when we get there. But, my two big things. Will the fans and alumni, um, the check riders, stay loyal? Will the team stay loyal? Will they quit? Those are my two things. You lose the team, you lose the fans, time to move on. Okay? So, my opinion is if he loses either, then uh, then it's time to hand him his hat. Okay, I don't see how you can recover from either one of those. Be very difficult. Maybe be easier to recover from the fans, assuming that he gets stuck with for a year. But after you lose the fans, the vitriol kind of comes in, and then you kind of get a sour situation from the coach, and so it takes a lot for people to put that behind them. So either one, I really think it works out best for both, just to move on. But um, yeah, right now, I don't think he's lost the team. Just want to, again, clarify that 100%. I don't think he's lost the team. I think he's lost certain players. And I think this last go around with a player we really did not need to lose looking forward with PJ Williams, offensive tackle. And if the news is what it is, then probably done with for the program, to be quite honest. And this is a real bad area for us, and really speaks to a lot. I would like to talk about just for a little bit what we're up against. Okay, so the 2019 team, right? So this is kind of that context. I believe it's very important to be very critical of Jimbo, but I also think it's very important to provide context for all these situations. Okay, so these are not excuses, but they are context, and some of these things are things that he needs to own and must own and are in his purview, that it is important that we recognize and understand, but maybe set expectations that they have to be fixed, right? He has to respond to these. But the 2019 recruiting class had 3 offensive linemen in it. Kenyon Green, and these guys are supposed to be seniors this year. Kenyon Green, um, Layden Robinson, and then the last one was supposed to be, I think it was Trainer. I think Blake Trainer. So Kenyon went to the NFL. Layden is starting. Trainer medically retired. And those are supposed to be seniors. So we really only got one senior guy, a 3-year letterman on the team. Looking at the next class, we had 5 offensive linemen that we recruited. Chris Morris was the top recruit, supposed to replace Kenyon Green. He left a couple years ago. Can't remember the reason exactly. And then within that class, I believe we also had, oh man, who was it? I will have to look back and see. But the point is that we don't have a lot of these guys. They weren't thick, big classes. They weren't. They're not kind of where we need to be right now when it comes to the offensive line. So we've got Fothery, who is part of that 2021 class. Foster, who's out, part of that 2021 class. As you remember, got Layden at the right guard. We've got Dewberry, part of the 2022 class. Zune, part of the 2021 class at left tackle. So we're extremely young there and don't have a lot of depth. That's something that's going on. I gotta note it. Now, why don't we have depth? That's the parts on Jimbo. We only got 3 offensive linemen in 2019. So yeah, that means we're going to be pretty thin this year, especially seniority wise. Didn't do real well in 2020 with the next round that are supposed to be juniors, and then we flat out missed, like I said, on Chris Morris. That guy's gone. Can't get him back. That was the best recruit in the class that year. So as we can see, it's probably a reasonable idea for Jimbo to really start taking into account, you know, I don't know exactly how you go about doing this, to be honest, but, just projecting character, and whether or not guys are going to stay within this class. And That's a whole other big conversation, to be quite honest, because there's a lot to be said about whether or not these guys' identity is in A&M, or if it's in, personal outside of the program type of reasons that divide and conquer. To be quite honest, we see it's happening. So um, the second reason to get fired, right, again, that was just kind of talking about the players, but are the fans. So what do you think is the sentiment of the fans right now? Um, it's kind of, I don't know, maybe a little bit indifferent. I mean, I think people are definitely frustrated. And they should be. I'm frustrated. So you should all definitely be ready to be frustrated, and it's acceptable to be frustrated. I don't want anybody to hear that that's not the case. Um, when that stems into a conversation about patience, and so I had somebody asking about patience. Didn't really take kind of pointing out to be patient. Well, um, hate to say it, but you don't really get a choice. I don't get a choice in this. We're going to have to be patient. And I think I answered this last week. Why we have to be patient? Well, most likely because unless somebody's going to be writing a check right now and getting rid of this guy this year or next year, we've got him for 2 more years. You're going to have to be patient. Now, I hope he gets it together within that time, but there's no other way about it. There's going to be a level of patience. That does not mean you have to be patient in voicing your opinion, um, albeit it should be a respectful opinion. Um, but free to definitely voice our opinions. I'm doing it. I'm all over it. I am not happy. Here we are right here. Durkin, I see problem as a problem. I see Adazio problem, and things that need to be fixed. I got one more year for these guys. If I'm even being patient, is that I might not be so um, mad if we had gotten rid of these people after this year, and we'll see what happens. But right now, they're in my doghouse. I don't understand why we're still running two high safeties. Do you? Especially on a cold and wet day when throwing's not going to be very prevalent. And those safeties are 10 yards off, two of them, and one of the best things they do is run the ball. Whew, man, we're not really focusing on the run. It feels like, but we've been resting ourselves on saying that we've got a great pass defense all year. Well, you're going to have a great pass defense when every team's running it on you, because that's what they're going to try and do, because they know you can't stop the run. So, yeah, kind of rob Peter to pay Paul a little bit there, I suppose. But anyways, yeah, absolutely, be frustrated. Like I said, I am. I'm not going to be holding back. So go ahead and do your worst. But again, you have to be patient. There's no choice about it. Um, but I can guarantee you that patience will go away in 2025, because if I'm not mistaken, that's the year OU and Texas get in the league, and we're slated to play the Longhorns. And if that year doesn't go right, we have a bad year plus losing to them. I think you can be that's a get put out to pasture kind of situation. So 2025 is definitely going to be the marker year. Um, so having said that, let's get over to the positives for this stuff, and let's kind of take a look and see what this team did on Saturday. I'm going to slow some of this film down, show you what they're doing, show you what's happening with our guys. This is going to be real fun for me. Looked at these plays a lot. This first one is the pass to Donovan. So Donovan's on the top end of the line there, and he is just crushing this block, by the way. Okay, so watch him. He's just going to crush this defensive end. He's going under the ground, and now he's going to go out for a pass. Connor's rolling out. Going to sidearm it a little bit to Green, and then he's just going to take this another, 20 yards down to the 10. Great play. Kind of swing back and look at a few other things. Sometimes you see things that are going on that aren't directly in your purview, but this design play makes the linebackers think that it's a run, and so they crash up. They definitely don't think Donovan's going out for any kind of pass. The top side backer, he drops backer as probably a nickel or something like that, And it just completely clears out the way. This is a great designed play by our coaches. It makes it easy on our offensive line because they're just down blocking the entire way, the opposite way, and all they got to do is bunch things up and make it crowded and complicated. So there's not really a whole lot that they're going to actually need to beat, one on one, and they just make it easy to complete that pass right there. Very simple, but well executed, just like Jimbo's been looking for. This shows me that we have made a few adjustments here as well. Max is out, so he's not playing tight end for us. We've been looking for Donovan Green to be effective this year, and this is what this guy can do. He's doing it as a freshman. Great blocker, great catcher, and after the catch, he's just as dynamic. So we got this guy. I think his head's screwed on right as well, so that's a big deal. We know how frustrating that's been. Let's take a look at the next go-around. So what we got here again is kind of a heavy set, right? This time Blake Smith's in 11 personnel, and he's playing tight end on the other side of Zune over there. What we're getting ready to do here is we're going to throw this to Preston, and he's the inside receiver on the top three up there. Right now, Connor is probably reading zone. That's what I think he's reading right now. You got the safety over the top, and so he's thinking, well, he's probably taking the deep third, something like that. And then what he's going to do is he is going to read that end, and he's going to see if this guy crashes or if he drops back in coverage. If he crashes, then it's going to open up that lane inside, which he does. Preston knows where the zone is, and he's going to go inside. Weigman delivers a strike on a day that's extremely hard to throw. Wet football, cold. He looked like he was just kind of shot putting it most of the day because it was so hard to hold on to the ball. Again, nice growth here. Let's watch the offensive line here. So we got Blake and Zune, or Smith, I should say, and Zune. And the top side, not the guy standing, but kind of like the nose tackle right there is where Zune and Smith are going to concentrate on. And they're just going to crush this guy. He's their best defensive lineman. That's 42. They point him out a lot throughout this entire piece here. Watch them. They're just going to crush him. And that's where we've been needing help. Zune has been needing a little bit of help. And so they put on the double team, run the fake RPO to the other side. Now, again, look back at this. We're throwing a pass here, right? This is a pass the entire way. Watch what the offensive line does. Do they form a pocket? No. They run block, and it brings those linebackers up. They think we're running. So it opens up that entire middle of the field. Again, great design. Preston takes it, does his thing. Glad to see him get a catch. He's doing a really good job. So let's back it up here a little bit. All right, next play. We got, I think again, we're going, 11 personnel. So we're running tight end on every single one of these plays so far, which I think has been a big deal. We'll get a little bit extra protection. You saw Donovan blocking on the first one. This is going to be a very interesting example of some things we're going to need to get better at. Now, let me show you the whole thing first off. So they get a guy loose. Who is that? 42. It's their best defensive lineman. Oh, let's pop back. He gets loose. He's coming up on Connor. Connor uses his feet, steps up, and then basically just takes it the rest of the way for the first down and uses his legs. I mean, we've been missing this. We've been missing it all year. Somebody that can really make some waves with their feet, get us out of trouble when we get into trouble. Now, here's what happened. First off, a couple things to note. I want to show you the wide receiver at the bottom of the screen. I think this is Preston down here. And then you got, I think, Donovan Green at the bottom left, tight end coming out. Now, this is what's going to be basically a rub route. So Preston's going to run inside and underneath Donovan. The idea is that Donovan and the guy guarding him would basically pick this route for Preston, which would basically block the cornerback's pathway so that he couldn't stay on Donovan. But watch how much of a gap's there. I mean, the cornerback's pathway to stay on 5 is just obvious. He's just going to stay straight there. There's no way to, no one got in his way to redirect him or anything like that. I'm going to show you a difference later on when we have Noah Thomas's touchdown. Very different, but it was a different scheme also from the defense. One of the things that made this easier for UMass is because that cornerback's playing up on Preston, so he had a little bit more direct line to stay on him. Now, left guard, Dewberry, he's on 42, and it's going to be a little bit difficult to see because you can't get a great camera angle, but hand placement's a big deal. Now, they engage right there, and 42's arm placement is inside Dewberry's. So he's got leverage, and as soon as Dewberry takes a step back, he pulls him down. So he really used his leverage that he had, and because of Dewberry's hand placement, he didn't have the leverage that he needed to weather that storm. So just a couple things we can clean up there. Something that's going to be integral. Dewberry's a young guy, and he's got some phenomenal potential. So don't think that this is going to be any type of marking on what's going to happen to him long term. He's stepped up and done as best he could. But again, it speaks to the youth that's on this team and how much of a struggle it's been because of this. So once he gets some experience and gets those snaps under his belt and is able to practice his craft and become expert at it, he's going to be a beast that I'm sure of. Zune does a really nice job too, getting his guy to go wide. He's had some trouble keeping up with the outside rush like that. But he does a really good job there, so I just want to point that out too. Very much of a progressive game for Zune. All right, let's jump over the next clip here. What do you see? All right, what do you see? 3 wide receivers down low, tight end on the far side. Got 11 personnel again. So we're going to be able to get a little bit extra protection if we need it. Now, it's going to be difficult to see, but you've got Thomas on the far, or the very lowest receiver there. Moose is the second from the bottom, and they're actually going to do this rub route. Now look at the difference in the cornerback this time. So their cornerback's playing 10 yards off. Thomas is going to go inside underneath Moose. Now what's that cornerback going to do? He's either going to have to come up and try and go under Moose as well, or he's going to have to go on top of that and then come back down, which again forms the natural pick. So watch it happen. It's just going to be very difficult to see at the bottom of the screen. So you can see Thomas's helmet there, and Moose comes inside. Thomas goes underneath, and so where's that cornerback? He's nowhere close to being on Thomas right now because he's just been basically picked. Now look right there. Noah, look how wide open Noah is. That's what you can do schematically with these guys. I mean, it's an excellent play to have drawn up. Actually, I mean, this is, again, you don't have to really draw these up. You don't have to get real creative. These are just things that we ought to be doing on a regular basis to get our, easy ways for our guys to get open. He takes it the length. Now look at Moose down here just dogging this guy. He's blocking 20 yards down the field. That's a guy that we need on this team. He's a pass catcher. He's a blocker. He's in everything. He's a real dude. Now let's get back over here, though, because here's the thing, and here's where we've been having so much trouble because our offensive line has done so poorly that we can't give our quarterback enough time to throw, and he can't then distribute to our skill guys. So it's a big problem. It's an inside-out problem, and until we get that offensive line secured, we're going to continue to have this problem. But watch how the guys work on this one. So guy goes inside on Dewberry. He lets him go, picks up the guy coming on this outside. See, I told you Dewberry's going to be a guy. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He knows what's going on. I don't think 42's in on this play. Let's go back and watch that offensive line engage one more time. But you can see him just kind of bottlenecking him in the middle. Zune goes outside again. Again, had a really nice game from him. Pushes that guy wide. He doesn't even have a chance. So he's getting better. He's getting better. And Noah Thomas, again, whew, I think we're going to see a little bit more of this guy moving forward, especially if, depending on what Chris Marshall's future is going to end up like. We shall see. All right, let's jump over to the next play. Final play. This is essentially 22 personnel. So we've been doing 11. This one's 22. That's Preston on the bottom side of the screen there. Now, he is a wide receiver, but he's going to come in and effectively be a tight end. And then we have a tight end on the far end. Two backs this time, and we are under center. Okay? And I saw UAB actually run this play, very similar play against LSU this last weekend, who we're playing next week. And they did basically the same thing against LSU. So here's what they're going to do. And Preston comes inside. Okay, now watch Zune and Dewberry just go to work. These guys are going to plow a field. All right, bottom side of your screen, both of them going to get that double team. And watch where they end up with that guy. They're basically blocking two guys at this point now. They got him behind the other guy. And they've basically formed a line right there. They got a tunnel going on. Now Preston stays on the edge guy trying to come in. Oh, it's a little bit tight. But Crownover's coming in. He sees him kind of, he's got a little bit of light from that guy. And so he pops him real nice, making that hole for Le'Veon to run on through. Fitting play. 22 personnel for number 22. Ooh, Moss is going to be nice. Moss is going to be real nice. Yes, sir. So what'd you think? What do you think about these guys? It's kind of encouraged. I don't want to get too optimistic about this. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid right now all the way. I can see it off in the future, as I hope you probably can too. But I need to see more. I do. I need to see more, and I hope I see more. I hope it's Jimbo. I want it to be Jimbo. I think he, I think he wants it as well. Just going to have to do a few more things. Does he have the right guys? Does he need an OC? How about a kick game coordinator? When we saw how integral that was in the TCU versus Baylor game, right? So able to get a squad out there in like 12 seconds, get a field goal kicked and everything else. So we probably need to go spend some money there before we think about everything else and do whatever we can basically for the next 2 years. Because in 2025 we need to have our stuff together. Not sure what the outlook is for next year. Sky's the limit still, but it depends on how fast guys can learn and how fast we can adjust. So that's the thing. LSU coming up this weekend, post-Thanksgiving game, Maroon out game. Looking forward to this one. Like to get out on a win, wouldn't you? Especially against LSU, man. They've really given us some hard times, especially when their coaches are on their way out. So preview coming up later this week, hopefully by tomorrow. And this will be the final one of the year. So I'm going to start off by start this early. Appreciate y'all joining me for the entire year. And yeah, it's been one hell of a ride, has it not? So we'll see where we end up, see what this team wants to do on the tail end, because it'll be the last game of the year. I expect an inspired team, let's put it that way. All right, so we'll see you later this week. Thanks. Gig 'em.